What does this comp want to do? How does it win? Any thoughts? Just shout them out. Don't be afraid.
We wanted to be able to dive an enemy, to be able to target one with, let's say, a Sombra or a Tracer that's flanking. We target one, and then after, Sombra, Monkey, and Tracer can dive a target. Let's say one squishy. That could be the enemy supports. And
I'm just gonna keep it very, very simple with how we win, because we can go on and on about how to win, how to, this way, this way, this way. What I want to do is I want to identify just a few very simple ways as to how this comp wins. So we have Ana, we have Kiri. That's kind of the odd one out. We have Sombra, we have Tracer, and then we have Winston. I'll be honest, the Kiri is a little bit of the odd pick, because usually it's Ana Brig or Kiri Lucio. Ana Kiri in this meta creates a few problems, but we'll still work with it because you can do this mental exercise with any comp you ever come across. It could be ladder, it could be your scrims, quick play, whoever. As long as it's not open queue, because then it all goes out the window. Just play goods. So okay, so you said you want to dive a target.
Yeah.
Put simply, right? Okay, so these are our win conditions. Now, what leads up to diving a target?
Posturing. Sombra hack.
Hack or forcing out a resource. What resource? I don't remember what they're playing. Coach gun is probably the biggest one.
Bionade. Yeah. I'm glad you all are thinking about that. I'm just gonna keep it very vague for now. I'm just gonna say present. Yeah, pressure. We're gonna pressure cooldowns, right? Okay. Pressure resources. Normally, I would say resources. I just wrote cooldowns because it's a little shorter. I'm running out of screen space here. Okay, so we just wait for a hack, or we wait for Tracer to kind of soften people up. There's a resource exchange, then we clean up. Okay, how else does this comp win on a macro, big picture level?
Smart ult usage and rotation.
Sure, but that's for every comp. Let's talk about this comp though. What about the ults?
EMP or rush.
Like early pulse.
Or a stick.
What was that, Alan?
Early pulse.
Pulse is actually a win condition in and of itself. It's amazing how broken Pulse is in higher rank and owl play, because they just stick them so consistently. You just unless like there's a Suzu or a lamp or what have you, like congratulations, you just want to fight off Pulse. It's absolutely insane. So yeah. I mean, Pulse is a win condition in and of itself. You don't even have to EMP. I wouldn't consider EMP to be a super big win condition. It's just another ult. Same with Kiri Rush here. Like the Kitsune Rush is, sure, it's good. I wouldn't consider it necessarily a win condition, but it could be. I'm just going to leave it out because it's not a main win condition. These are kind of supplements. The third and last win condition is the nano cycle. So it could be nano into primal. Usually, if everybody's playing correctly, especially if the Ana has a nade for the primal target, you'll nano, Winston charges primal, you can cycle primal, usually into a pretty healthy chunk of nano boost ult charge as well. So this is going to be the core engine right here, and this is just the standard dive brawl, nonsense. So this is how we win on a big picture level. We try to wait for a hack, or we try to pressure resources until a target is either wounded, they're isolated, they have to back off, or whatever. Maybe Pulse finds a target, or Nano and Primal, and you win pretty much every fight off of some variant of these three. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan, and the reason why I wasn't trying to shut you down, Rye, so I apologize. But my point in doing this is to show that we can talk about the intricacies of the macro, but the actual like big picture goals in and of themselves are actually pretty simple, right? Like if I'm a Winston player playing with this comp, I know that I need to wait for a hack before I make a hard commit, or I need to see that there has been some sort of like disproportionate cooldown exchange in my favor. That's why I wasn't going to get into the details yet of like, oh yeah, we could do this with Tracer, that with Sombra, we can land nades. Just because I think the win condition is very, very simple, and it's best to keep it like that. I hope that makes some sense, Rye. I apologize if it seems like
yeah. Well, it's a lot of information for me, but yes, makes sense.
Okay, so what I'm going to be doing, whoops, didn't mean to blind everybody. What I'm going to be doing is I'm just put simply going to be watching our team. I'm going to be seeing how we're playing. Are we playing towards our goals? Are we positioned correctly? And I'll talk about that as we get like more real in-game examples. Talk about how this works. So
and for reference for you, Alan is a likely Mike and Rye is a LG BBQ.
Okay.
And I'm Greenline.
Okay, so with this comp, the comp is going to struggle to take this. I would argue that the enemy comp is actually more advantaged to hold these high grounds here. But let's talk about how you can take them still. So what does their comp want to do? Just put very, very simply, what does their comp do that your comp doesn't?
Counter dive?
Deny high grounds? Or deny flank angles?
It pokes.
It pokes a little bit more, you're right. So this is what I wanted to do. And this is how you should start thinking about compositions. I know if I've done review work for you before, I say the same thing every time. Figure out what their comp does that yours doesn't, and vice versa. So you can think about it like this. These heroes cancel out. These heroes cancel out. The core differences are these three. What do they do differently? Okay, this is more of I would argue a heavier poke. Or sorry, a heavier dive comp. Excuse me. Our team. The other team, though, they're a heavier poke comp. And even better, what does D.Va do? D.Va is a anti-dive poke tank. She really is. She is hell for the Winston player. I know that by experience. She's everywhere that I want to be and is terrible. So how do we get around that? So here's how this works. Their team is set up, especially on defense, to poke. They're going to be playing for longer sightlines, right? The Ashe wants to look down here. If she's over here, she wants to look this way, right? The D.Va just kind of wants to be wherever the dive is set up and pressure them out. And then you have your core right here. You just are never going to break this without an overwhelming advantage. So how do we get around this? Here's where their weakness comes into play. So the D.Va can be wherever I want to be, but your team can also be a little bit more spread out and collapse. This is where it's going to be very important. You all probably watched some YouTube video at some point. They thrown out the word like killbox or a concave or a collapse or what have you. Whatever term you choose. The important thing to note is that you're going to have multiple people coming from different directions pressuring the same target. That's all that is. Your team wants to do that, and it wants to do it constantly after kind of applying a slow burn, making sure that there's a resource exchange in your favor. Their team wants to buy time until their superior poke and your inability to dive them takes over. So you're actually if you want to, there's anybody I know Greenline plays Magic, but has anybody else here played Magic?
Yeah,
I do.
MTG. Yeah,
My whole experience playing this game turned around when you told me this.
There's
okay.
Yeah, because I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
There's a famous article in MTG called "Who's the Beatdown," and "Who's the Beatdown." All that says is in Magic, one deck is maybe faster, or its game plan is on a stricter of a timer, like on a timeline or something like that, than the other deck. So one deck is trying to make it to the long game. One deck is trying to win before then. I apply the same theory to Overwatch because the dive comp is on a far shorter timeline to win than their more poke-oriented comp. And notice, you wouldn't necessarily say that this is just a pure poke comp, right? I mean, Ashe is
no
really
Sigma,
the only...
no double main
yeah.
DPS,
Like Ashe is really the big poke hero, and that's it. But nevertheless, look at how their team is structured. With the D.Va, with the Brig, Ana can poke more. Tracer can jockey for those angles on defense. All the while, Ashe is taking over the game. So even though you wouldn't classify this comp as necessarily a poke comp, they are more poke oriented than our comp. Does that make sense so far, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what does that mean for us? That means that we need to, whenever we go, we need to go hard. we need to go on the correct target, and we need to collapse. That means that our DPS can take their sweet time, and they can take the whole the whole round if they want to just set up on a perfect angle and collapse on one target or pressure these guys out. The diva is going to try to be wherever she wants, but that means that we also need to be kind of positioned to isolate at least 2 targets. Like imagine a bubble here, she goes to peel. Congratulations, you now have this split and this split over here. We need to be pressuring. The diva can't be everywhere, but she can be a lot of places. So you have to overwhelm her in that regard. You can't let her be like we go on one target, she peels for that target, then we go on another target, she peels for that target. You gotta stress her out. You can't let her take over. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Our comp wants to collapse, it wants to overwhelm, it wants to set up. Their comp wants the game, the fights to go longer so that way they can poke. So let's see how this goes. By the way, are we okay with the overhead, or does anybody want like a specific perspective?
Overhead's good. I think
Overhead's
the
good.
macro is what we want the most anyway.
Oh, I forgot Kirby didn't have a fun time.
Kirby did not enjoy
All right,
this game.
so already I can tell you want to jump, but you're doing a good response by not jumping. I would see some Winstons just mindlessly jump because they see high ground. I want to take high ground.
Hey Kai.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is a hell of a thing to do. So good job. It's good restraint. All right, does Kirby hack without thought? Let's see. Ooh, hold on. Okay, so this is where not having a brig is going to hurt, but also how we're playing this. So we have aggressed first, but I wanted to talk about this. All right, let's check our team. I don't know if you all heard the diva. I don't know if you scouted the diva or what have you. This is a very obvious place for their tank to set up, though. So this is very problematic. This backline is going to be absolutely demolished. It's softer without the brig. Secondly, this engagement. So we have an angle here. Why would our tank engage here?
To create a threat from multiple angles.
You would think. But what is this bubble doing? This bubble isn't really doing anything. See, this is where you really got to start thinking about this. If you can think of Winston's Tesla cannon like a broom, like you're just sweeping. You're taking your broom and you're just sweeping people out of an area with your cleave. This area, not only is it very difficult for you to get follow-up, but this actually makes you more vulnerable as the Winston. Not only can they just drop or move back, this space is not where you want to engage. If they're in here, this is a closed space. There's a roof. You can't really easily leap out. You can't even leap in here. Instead, what I would do is I keep Kirby here, and as the Winston, I would jump here. And especially if I think you did scout the diva. If the diva comes at you, you just drop. Congratulations, you forced your boosters.
I see.
And that eases the pressure on the back line
you have space.
Yeah.
This card isn't even around the corner yet. So this is not the time to be going like this.
Too soon. That was the other thing I was thinking. But instead of being aligned opposite of him, to be with him instead, wherever he's going to try and get it. It seems like he's going for a hack or something.
You don't really want to be on that side because it's hard for you to get out.
I see what he means by it being like enclosed, like leaping out. Supporters can't see me, obviously. I mean, of just
also,
like how I would
really want to go in there in
approach,
general.
how I would
Very
just.
Also, even if you get like nated or slept, I mean, you shouldn't die here. Not without being woken up, not without being able to drop. If you play from right here, you shouldn't die.
There's no way to get line of sight from there.
And see, that's the thing with Winston. You always want these escape patches in the event like something really bad happens. Not only have you went early because your backline is occupied, your backline should die here, in theory. This is you're trying to sweep them into this, but actually Sombra's like the weakest one you could sweep them into. Oh, yeah. I would try to push them away from the Sombra and use your bubble for Sombra because Tracer can then come in like this. But this is just too early. I don't even think the Tracer was staged. Let's see. Hold on, because Tracer was still in the process of getting there. You just needed to poke and scout. That's what you were doing, or what you should have been doing. So like that's why I was complimenting you on the restraint here. But then you just go and leap in. especially since this Tracer has shot over here. So like she should be scouted by the team.
I think we had a call out of it, but it was like
Yeah,
kind of core
look
like
at-
at
look
the
at
same
that.
time as the leap. So
I would even just soft engage here, just leap, zap, and if they burn a cooldown, you just drop. I wouldn't even bubble. Because if that diva doesn't
Yeah, so-
respond, you're just gonna go up there or peel back or what have you, and you'll be in a better position. Because right now your team is not in a position to help you. Same with here. This is not gonna get
hey,
through.
Luke.
So let's continue.
Zeph, Luke is metal, so now we have another person
Oh, okay.
in game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we have like war of the backlines here. Yeah. you guys see, here's the thing. They have support, you guys don't, and you die.
Yeah.
Like any kind of narrow hallway with a roof like that, yeah, that's death to a monkey. Okay, and the backline dies. So it's exactly what I said. Now, here's the question. Your team is not set up to clear this high ground. Your team really cannot clear that high ground at all. Not without significant changes. That's why people usually, on this point, sometimes they adapt. They play the Echo or what have you, or Genji. But nevertheless, we need to force this diva to move. So if we can't clear out the high ground, we have to do the next best thing, which is force her to leave by pressuring her team. That's why this next engagement, I want to see if you guys learn from this, and if you go here, especially with the cart now being here, or if you're still hell-bent on doing this. Because I see a lot of players get like really tunnel visioned in on one approach, and they don't think about the multiple ways they can go about sieging an angle. Okay, Kirby gets demolished. You guys wait. Okay, you're poking out. Let's see. You're pushing the cart. Good.
I don't remember what we do.
Whoa.
Big anti.
That probably forces Bill.
The Tracer is very tricky on this point because she takes like so much time to set up. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Suzu'd.
that's-
Yeah, that was my bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't even personally Suzu that unless like
They
you
were
guys are in there and
battling.
you're afraid the diva's gonna collapse on you. All right, so I want to see the Winston engage. I'm a tank player. I'm gonna be the harshest on you. Sorry, that's just how it is.
Please.
Okay, you get whip shot, but you leap through the window. See, this is what I was talking about.
Not quite there
Now-
yet.
You look where look where the isolated targets are.
Oh, Ashes. Oh, Ashes super isolated.
Yeah, there you go. See, and I think you even saw it. So let me just. As I said, this is the plight of the tank player. I'm gonna be harshest on you. Okay, so we hear the dynamite. Let's see. We're on fire. She is literally burning our flesh. Yeah, I know what it is. So here's what I'm gonna say, Alan, because I've seen this. What rank are you? Are you master, diamond master?
Master 3rd.
Master. Okay. I see this a lot in the breakthrough to GM, where tanks, especially, but players across all roles, have a certain idea of what they should be doing, but they're not thinking of what they're not being mentally flexible enough. They've gotten to this rank and they have an idea as to how they play their role, but they're not quite there yet to the point where they can adapt easily or where they have like the decision making process down. And sometimes they rush things. I think with you are hell bent on diving this. You think that this is the most important thing, but this isn't what's actually going to kill your team. It's this. Same with our DPS here, off camera. Like whenever someone takes an aggressive position like this, especially in a dive mirror or anything like that, it's your job as a tank, as a DPS, as a support, you punch them right in the jaw. You force them back. This can be forced out even by Ana or Kiri just lobbing a couple shots at them. It forces the supports to look this way, may force them to back off, something like that. You have an idea of what you should be doing. You really want to dive the supports. That's good. That can happen sometimes, but you're not looking, I think, at keeping your options free. In addition, this is tricky because our DPS don't take high grounds very well all. So they're going to take a long time to set up. So what you need to do in the situation, and the supports can kind of help this to an extent too, is you need to just be soft diving, just jump at them. They're not going to nuke you instantly. You don't even need to use bubble. Just zap for pressure, for ult charge, make your presence known, and feed your supports. I wouldn't necessarily try to go for the hard kill here every time like you are, and you're also going too early on top of that. I think what keeps a lot of Masters tanks from breaking into GM is that they don't understand when people just aren't killable or when it's not the most optimal thing to do. Because really, what's the thing that's going to kill your team here? It's these people. Looking this way. And this. That applies to DPS too, by the way. Sometimes you just can't get a kill, but you force someone to disengage, and you overextend because of it. Okay, yeah, they're gonna nuke your backline again. Oh, you actually get the Tracer, nice.
I had a huge sleep there, not gonna lie.
Yeah, the bubble. So here's the thing. We have sacrificed our forward position now. This is really bad. So getting the kill on the Tracer was good. But honestly, what does Winston do to a diva?
Literally nothing. Tesla
literally nothing.
Yeah, you do nothing. So honestly, I wouldn't even peel back for the diva.
You're
right. Unfortunately, like ideally, your team would have a brig here for the Ana.
Yeah.
But you just don't. So,
I think we end up experimenting with the brig on defense, but
like nevertheless, your team can't do a whole lot here. So this is just kind of the deed is done. You know, this is already a decision that has been made by the team collectively. You need to figure out what is going to happen, or what can you do that is the most optimal thing. And I'm gonna quote Philo here when he said, like, whenever you play tank in Overwatch 2, you have a lot of freedom. You can do a whole lot of stuff. You're the main character. But at the same time, are you doing the most optimal thing? Probably not. In this case, this is why I'm making the point about jumping these people, especially before your DPS are set up, because you're not going to kill through that. You're just wasting time and resources. Going on this and disrupting this is better. So target priority is a must. And I'll be honest, the Sombra just like aggressively translocating up here and left clicking could also be a dive in a sense that you'll force her back. It's just unfortunately both DPS are taking the long way and walking. Yeah, see, okay, and then we just so happen to get the brig, but it's these two DPS on their own now. They can't hold that space. Yeah, and the Sombra to get out. So we're still locked in on the diva, but look where the value is. DPS should have really stayed in there too, because they could easily kill them without the diva present. Big nade. Do we follow up? We do? Okay, we might die though. Yep. So another thing, I'm noticing bubbles are just kind of thrown out willy-nilly. You want to bubble to make sure that you have a space to work with. So if you're bubbling here, this space doesn't really get you anything whenever the enemy's already up here. Just take the damage, or even just like wait back here and then leap behind. I think it's
back to when I actually dropped the bubble. I wonder what it was for. They leave.
You know?
They're leaving. There's not really a purpose.
Well, then you go in. So, like, imagine if you had the bubble here,
there,
just a bubble dance. Yeah, see, and so a lot of Winstons, like, as soon as they take damage, bam, they drop bubble.
I see.
It's just instinctual. Ana's safe. Ana's in high heaven here.
Go on.
Another thing too is I'm noticing with Tracer and Sombra both, they still want to play behind the tank. I don't know if you all have realized this yet. So typically you'll have like Winston go in, he bubbles, he's doing his thing, and then like you'll have Tracer and Sombra kind of, doing this thing. This is how it's normally played. Instead, what's happening is Winston, bubble, we'll have Tracer, and then we have like maybe Sombra. You see the difference? I don't really have to turn my head to hit everybody. That has been very difficult with this up here, this high ground, because our team, as I said, our team doesn't really take the high ground here with our current comp all that well. but at the same time, it's just one of those little optimization things that I think will be very important on a more flat area like this. I'll even go back a little bit so you all can see it. So I would just get more aggressive as a DPS, personally. And Kirby is somewhere. Okay, our Tracer comes in. Yeah, see, even as Tracer, I know you blink. I don't think you have any blinks here from my count. But even still, I would try to like blink back here and then shoot their backs. Always be jockeying for that position. Tracer is almost like an off tank. Oh, you have a blink. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I treat Tracers like off tanks nowadays. Alright, Kirby's deep. He should be scouting. Good. Ana's just bait. Now, here's the thing. I don't think this fight's winnable. Why?
Our tank's dead.
No tank, and they're coming at angles that we're not set up for.
Also, look at their ult charge. Look at the ult difference. They've just been alive longer. It's not a lot. It's not a huge difference, but like, you know, it's enough. They're gonna
get them online.
What's this coming up first?
Defensive.
So, from a macro perspective, what should we be doing?
Leaving.
Try fighting.
How do we play payload maps like this whenever we're in this position?
We switch to.
Try fight.
I mean, you don't really have a choice to dry fight.
I mean, but we switch to more of a counter dive. Like the Ana's gonna be bait. We wait for them to collapse on the Ana, and then that lets us maybe build a nano onto the Winston.
Yes, but also your Winston wasn't even here. Your Winston's like in spawn.
Your
This is what I'm talking about. So here's where I'm gonna go with this. So you'll see that we already have 3 here, right? You have 4. There's a numerical advantage, sure. But what advantage do they have here? Do you not?
They have sustain throughout the whole thing.
They have a tank, they have a sustain, and they have these people that are going to come back before the Winston. And even worse, they're going to come back in a good position. They're going to come back right in this alleyway here, or right here, or if they're really smart, over here. So this is a fight where I think we need to push the. So you'll see AL teams do this a lot whenever they're in this position. They do it on push all the time, especially. That's probably where it's most noticeable. They will push the cart to a good position where there's natural cover. So like Fountain here is pretty good. I would argue for the attackers and, you know, to the defenders as well, to some extent, right? You can kind of orient your team around this. Yeah, they just back up. Against a more coordinated team, especially ones that are scouting, they're talking, know the drill, they would just turbo in on this. I don't even care if like it's a 1-for-1 exchange. I have stopped the push by doing so.
I think I try to stay. I think I try to bait when the Winston's not there to help counter bait.
And I think that's a mistake, especially whenever we don't have Brig.
I feel like their comp isn't as suited to dive in anyways. Because if D.Va's committing boosters for a dive,
but it doesn't matter. Like everyone's so far.
I mean, yeah, that too.
Well, we're not even going on like targets that are isolated. We've just been kind of going on like these nuclear cores, and it's been even more problematic for a dive. Because what does a dive want to do? It wants to isolate. You know, it always compare dive to like a bunch of hungry lions running down a gazelle. They want to like wound it and tire it out. Then they go in for the kill. That's the dive part that everybody remembers, but they don't ever remember what leads up to that. So in this case, I don't think you all can isolate anybody here. Like, even though there's a numerical advantage, like you guys have to.
The people to isolate are way too far away.
Yeah, and between Brig, D.Va, Tracer, are you really gonna do that? Probably not. So there's a preemptive hack, but now. Oh, we're fighting. Okay. Yeah, see, I don't like that. It's because the Sombra. Excuse me, the Sombra has.
Kirby's just gone. He's not in the fight anymore.
Yeah, he's.
Unless he TP's over.
I don't even understand why.
No, that's where he put his translocator. I do the same thing. So that's like whenever I play Sombra, I need to be better.
This mega is super broken for attackers.
Spots.
Attacker Sombras.
I TP know there's a mega over there.
Oh, there's a mega over there. Oh yeah. Ball and Sombra players love this mega.
I'll have to. I never knew that. I remember that.
Really?
So
Yeah.
so what I mean
Cool.
is like
That is real.
you see how the Diva boosted in, Kirby was forced out. So this is already a 1, 2, 3, 4 versus
And Alan
5.
committed a leap, which wasn't necessarily a mistake, but now
they're gonna have ults, I think, before our team does, and even worse, I think this was a panic leap because he was trying to like enable his team.
I
But
should
even
have left the
still-
cart sooner though. Like I get the idea eventually, but they're
Alright,
able to
then what
collapse
the
because I don't
ante,
leave
man?
in enough time. That's definitely a mistake on my part.
Here's another thing too. This is why I'm going to be harsh on the tank players, because I think that this defines like what that the rest of the team can get away with. Bubbling right here is a little worse than bubbling here. And why is that?
You don't get as
it's
much
not really
distance out of the
covering.
bubble.
You haven't isolated the Ana inside the bubble.
Not only are you
I
cleaving,
don't. Yeah.
where or like you could even have landed here. This is just enough of a little high ground that you can zap and force them to scatter like this way, and you just go on whatever target's isolated and push them out into the open. Make sense?
Well, from the distance of where I started, wouldn't it be like extremely risky to do so? I mean, it's not a great leap to begin with, but I mean, like on the way
No, it's
there.
a panic leap. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like you saw Kirby go in, and you were like, okay, I got to get something done here.
I think Kirby went a little early as well. It kind of messed with
Oh,
our timing.
100%. He just went on like the completely wrong target. He went in way too early.
I think he's hoping to hack the Diva so that I don't get dove as hard, but it doesn't end up working.
Yeah, but hacking the tank that doesn't work like that anymore. That's a very old like Overwatch 1 thing. So you're here, but even still, leaping here is the play.
I see.
Here, there's nobody occupying this. You're not going to push anybody out into the open, and you have to walk towards them, and that's why you bubbled. Remember what we talked about before, where I said a lot of Winstons will instinctually drop bubble as soon as they start taking damage?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened here. So that's why I think had Kirby not only been more patient, our Tracer was set up to go. It's just kind of unfortunate, the timing on everything. It's like a butterfly effect. Kirby goes out, you're like, okay, I have to get value out of this engagement. You land here where you saw Kirby was. But what I like to think about with Winston is, can I land behind them? Can I land on them? Can I land and like physically block them? And that's why I said, like, if you go here and you bubble, you force them to back up even further. They might even back up like around the corner, right? Or in here. They have to go somewhere. They're not just going to allow you to cleave them. And if they sleep you or they nade you, I mean, ideally they shouldn't kill you. You know, that shouldn't. That's something that's not very likely. Not with bubble. So that's why I think blocking this, you've taken 3 people out of the fight, even though you haven't killed them. You remove them, and you make this little bit of aggression here that much worse because of that. They don't have support. Now Tracer also needed, like, I noticed that Metal for you, I feel like there's a lack of scouting. I'm just gonna watch this through your perspective a little bit. I'm noticing that across Kirby, I'm noticing that across Metal, just a little bit of everybody. There's not a lot of scouting. It's a lot of like waiting for something to happen here. Okay. Good job.
Nice,
That
Luke.
was a really good kill.
Oh, we're dead.
Oh, we're dead.
All right. Let's see this again, shall we? So we have.
You got
Unless
anti
Liz-
and died. That's crazy.
Unfortunate.
It's an unfortunate stick.
Yeah, I feel like we had like 3 different fights going on, and we just like it was just a panic. We were all kind of reacting to one another. So. Stop, right? So I feel like as a team, we need to identify targets. And by targets, I mean targets that are killable, targets that we can get value out of pressuring, not necessarily just targets that we know we should go on. Sure, going on squishies is nice, going on supports is nice, but who you should go on changes constantly. I feel like we're like kind of freewheeling here a little bit.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you view it more as like like a pyramid where like you have a target you're ideally going to look for, but then you kind of adapt as needed, or do you just look at every situation differently? Like,
No,
do
no.
you look at this comp and say like we're hoping for Ashe, but if Ashe isn't in a good spot, now we reevaluate?
So,
Or
like as a tank player, I look at their comp and I think, okay, who do I have a good matchup against as Winston? So who do I have a good matchup against as Winston? You all tell me.
Ana and Ashe, if you
Ashe.
can do a good job
Ashe
against
with no
Coach Gun.
Coach Gun. That's kind of
And
it.
I would even argue Brig. I don't think Brig does a whole lot to me as Winston. She just prolongs things. She prolongs the inevitable. But like
You see whip shot and you go.
I mean, like, right? Like, she's not the end all be all. She's not like, a Zen 5 ward straight to my skull, or, with Discord order or anything.
Right.
Oh, that's fun.
So who do I want to avoid?
D.Va.
But quite simply, D.Va.
D.Va.
Tracer, whatever. Tracer's a fly. She exists. I can't really pressure her out outside of like a lucky right click, correct?
Right.
D.Va, I can't really pressure out, so I'm going to go on those three. That gives me 3 good targets and 3 targets that I know can't maneuver very easily. So it's not that I'm like going to go like if no Ana then on Ashe, and if not on Ashe then on Brig. It's not like a bunch of if then conditionals. It's just like who is the person that should go on in the moment. In addition, as tank, but also as support and DPS, you also need to be evaluating threat. So like, let me use this example from earlier. We have the enemy team set up. Who is the biggest? Hold on, I'm gonna fast forward just a bit. So it's the second fight. All right, like in this scenario, who's the biggest threat on their team?
Ashe.
Ashe, 100%. Why? And don't answer this. I want somebody else to answer this. What does the Ashe do?
Uncontested damage.
Quick hit.
And she also has full range on the support Turna, but
it's not just what she can do, right? It's also where she is. Does that make sense?
High ground's fun, yeah.
So to everybody here, I want to ask you what in theory can this Ashe do right now?
Anything.
She can do anything she wants. She is completely free. She's not being pressured. She's in a very aggressive position, and she can contribute to this fight. She can contribute to this fight. Like she can help anybody. But she's also in the more aggressive position, right? It's everybody's job, whether it be just Ana left clicking on the Ashe, the Winston diving her, Tracer just spraying her from a safe distance, something like that, to check people in these positions. And Spilo had a great example where he said, like, this is the line. We have the one team trying to punch through, we have the other team punching back, we just have all these different heroes, maybe like one's punching in from this angle and the other one's doing this. This is how you win these mirrors, because one of them finally gets through, and that's it. Even though they're on more of a poke comp than we are, who has punched through the line? It's Ashe. She's not physically punching through the line, but her range of influence has. So if I'm Tracer, for example, I don't want to take this long route. Sure, it's safe, but it's miserable. It's just absolutely miserable. If I'm going to stage, I'm probably going to stage here and then scout this, or just drop and go this way. I'm almost never going to go underneath. Why? Because this locks you into one way to engage up here. At least this gives me options from over here. But nevertheless, if I'm Tracer, I know that I need to deal with this and push them this way, and I can easily blink and go behind. If I'm Sombra, I can also go underneath and scout through these stairs. If I'm Winston, I know I can pressure her here, or play right here. If I'm the supports, I know I can contribute to this fight. I know that I can left click after we start fighting around this choke and so on. The problem is, like, these fights are not very well planned, and I think it's because we don't have a good idea as to who we should be prioritizing the most. And so, to get back to your original point, Green Line, with the way that you should evaluate who should go on. It's not that I have high priority targets. It's that those high priority targets change priority, change ranking or standing or whatever in the moment to moment. And it's all because it's not based on necessarily who they are or maybe even like a macro goal per se. It's based on like what they are offering to their team. So for example, if the Ashe is over here and the rest of her team is over here, she's actually taking an off angle and is going to contribute more overall unless I snuff that out. Make sense?
Right.
This forces my team to look in two different directions if the Ashe is here and the rest of the team is there. It's the same exact concept with that over there. If, let's say, Ana is here and the rest of the team is over here, who is actually contributing the most? It'll be the Ana. Why? Because she's in a great position to nade, to sleep, to survey the fight, to deal damage, to heal, to nano. She can affect the fight because she has all this versus the rest of her team, which is just kind of balled up on point, defending card. And she's isolated, which means that that's a favorable matchup for me, in theory. So that's what I meant when I said like that changes moment to moment.
Right.
And it's because of who is being the most aggressive. Another thing too is that we're just going in, we're just diving, and we're not actually like taking the time to do a soft dive and pressure out their cooldowns. So it's going to be very difficult for us to collapse on that, especially on this map. All right, so Winston's going to be chin checked by the D.Va. Also notice that your bubble was forced. You just need to get out. You're not doing anything of value here. All right, so by doing this, you don't have bubble. You didn't pressure coach. Did she have sleep? I'm pretty sure she. Oh, that's weird. It's weird. Okay, but even still, this is
That's
super
such
risky.
an ego sleep. I think they sensed Kirby, like they got detected.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's such an ego sleep.
But you see how this is like locked you into getting value. You're gonna have to primal here. You have locked yourself into one decision tree. One of the best pieces of advice I got was, you know how you shouldn't be going in without bubble as Winston? Now apply that even if you have primal, because you can use bubble to extend your primal too.
I think this is a green line mistake. I think I nanoed when he didn't have the bubble.
I think
Yeah.
I asked you though. I'm pretty sure I called for it.
Yeah,
Like,
this
I told
is
you
this
to
is this is a hellish engagement. Absolutely hellish. Okay. One, nobody is on the D.Va. See, their tracer. I think their tracer's doing a lot of heavy lifting because she has like really good target priority. Same with the D.Va. Because she knows that, like,
they as a unit were bothering me the entire game.
yeah, that's why you're being abandoned and you have a really good position to influence the fight, so they're just going to take you out of it. Yeah, this is unwinnable. DPS need to get out.
Am I playing too far forward in hopes of having
You're
higher
not-
influence?
Well, again, ideally you would have a brig. The Curie isn't even, so that's another thing I haven't really touched on. The Curie isn't offering a lot because Curie would ideally take a wide angle while healing and damaging. Like, if the card's here, Curie can take an angle all the way over here and then like zip off to areas of the fight where she's needed, right?
Sure.
There hasn't been a lot of that because the Kuriko has been playing more or less like a brig to bail you out. So why not just play brig? Like, if you're not using Kuriko for her ability to take these wide off angles and then like bam, join the fight, you shouldn't be playing Kuriko.
Kirby was straight up
Kirby
not
game.
having a good time. Well, the Ashe is the GM1 from their team, and he was really good at figuring out wherever Kirby was, just off of pure game sense and good dynamites.
There's that bubble.
Yeah.
See, this isn't the area that you want to fight in, right? This is the area that you want to take from them. I wouldn't be using bubble right here because now you put yourself on a cooldown. Yeah. This has become very difficult now. You could have pressured her, left behind her, and then bubbled behind her. She wouldn't have had healing, and she would have had to hard disengage while the rest of that team was like pushed up here, splitting them. All right, so we have our. Have we rushed this whole round?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is our first rush. See, that's what I mean. Is like most supports are fighting for ult charge, and on top of that, the Kriko really isn't going to be offering a lot of damage. All right, there's our EMP. Alan, what do
He saved my life. No.
It's not no offense, but it's a Kariko's job.
8-hour work day. That's what else.
Yeah, there's like a big hack
I worked
here
8
too.
hours. No.
I work 8 hours.
I
every
totally
day.
see you. See.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just so happened to kind of throw it.
How did that happen?
I'm
they're-
kind of surprised.
Their
that
their
I'm
team
just
their
gone.
team
Didn't-
threw it.
that they
No,
did this.
their Ana and their Brig threw that. So watch this. Watch this core. So
Did they split?
also this bubble here again. This bubble's behind natural cover. You've achieved the same thing as you would be achieving just by going through natural cover. Just save your bubble. So we have our EMP. It's massive. It hits 4.
The break shield bash forward.
And so
not
what I
put her
mean is
out.
like imagine if you had like leapt and bubbled this. That'd be amazing. Okay, so watch. Tank goes backwards. They nade. Their breakthrough, you see?
Huh.
And now
Good
the Ana's
follow
about
up
to
from
throw.
Luke though.
That Ana should have just kept walking back instead she kept trying to fight.
I want to chuck Nano at Diva.
I'm
Luke,
back.
go crazy.
Greetings. No,
I think it falls apart here.
Do you want me to watch this fight, or do we want to go into another map?
Do not want to.
No, I think it's fine. I think our push stops here. Like I don't think we get it around the.
It
the
doesn't
second
go very well.
corner.
It doesn't go very well.
Well, I think our comp isn't very good at taking these
Um,
crazy high grounds, and we just didn't have the means to clear the angles.
Another thing, so a lot of Winstons just jump and they bubble. Enemy team just has to move back and poke them, and this really doesn't do a whole lot unless you're playing for ult charge. The best thing you can do is wait for this cart to push up a little bit and then jump to the side. Not only can you drop off a little easier, but you're attacking them from another angle that prevents them from looking like at your team in the same direction shooting. Because like see what happens if you're forced off here? Not only do they kite back and break bubble, but they're actually looking at you as you retreat. That's very problematic. If you go in from the side, you just bubble here, and you split them up. They either have to like go off the ledge, which they're not going to do. They go in here, or they go back here.
Right. I didn't really see this as like breakable to begin with. I just couldn't imagine like. I think this Ashe pretty much just dominates this high ground for the rest of the match.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, with Primal, this is very breakable. This is a point where, as Winston, you pretty much play for Nano and Primal, and you use that to break this up. In the meantime, you're not going to do anything else. It's unfortunate that we use Nade.
I was worried about the
Oh, the
tracer
bubble.
poke from high ground.
Yeah,
Does Sack
no,
float
this.
down or...
Was that a bad nade, or was it just a forced nade?
Let me see.
We can do for my POV if that helps. Because I know Luke's doing that tracer. I guess the tracer was backing. Like she wasn't committing to.
Even
to
still,
that.
she wouldn't have killed through that.
Yeah, it is double pocket.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate the bubble falls, but I wouldn't have committed primal onto that as well.
Oof, that's unfortunate.
Sleep check. Yep. She has it all. Also, with the way that you're engaging, since they scouted you, it's a very easy whip shot to deny you. Just a small little micro thing.
It's a good primal to clear them off height, but my
They're gonna get back up
choices
before you
led to
guys.
me
Just
to
gonna
die.
walk.
Yeah.
Never mind, they didn't.
Oh.
I remember watching their Ash be down here. I was so confused.
All right. So here's what I want. The reason why I'm harping on bubble so much is bubble is like arguably this comp's most important cooldown. Why is that?
Big dome
What is-
stop thing.
Stop the thing. What does the bubble do for the
Because it
team?
lets your DPS
It's
play
like
in and out of the
cover.
bubble.
Yep. It's an extension
Prolongs
of
the
cover.
engagement.
It's a wall. It's literally a wall.
Seeing that they're off high ground, going up here for free and then dropping down with bubble would be big. Jumping off, but instead, look what happens. We get excited. We're also not scouting. I never once have I seen a dive that has been scouted. It's always been like very reactionary and very like snap judgment. Because we just oh wait, this is the here. I want to see the nano. So this is why I take issue with this. We have seen this. We also should know that this is free. This nano, just by throwing it out there and jumping like from the front, is one of the worst things you can do with Winston. Why? It's one angle. Winston always thrives when there are multiple angles, and you actually don't know where their team is. You haven't scouted their whole team.
This one I know is a green line error. I definitely planned that nano
You see
engagement.
this? You see how we just like immediately said, okay, I have it in my mind to nano here. That's just nano. We're not even giving our team time to set up. We don't have DPS follow up. We don't even have support follow up, for crying out loud. We just jumped in with nano. This is a bad scenario, especially when they're down one. You can take your time to set up here. What's the worst that could happen? Diva goes up there. That's okay. You got nano. And then
I feel like this
even
Ash should have been
worse.
collapsed on so quickly.
Even worse is that we throw out bubble too, and as I said, bubble is one of this comp's most important cooldowns. Why? Because bubble. Imagine a bubble right here. Not only can the tracer shoot for free in there, ideally Sombra would be set up, but that's not happening. We went too early. Even still, the tracer could shoot in, and they wouldn't be able to heal one another and stuff too.
Also, real quick, can I make a suggestion?
Uh-huh.
I wanted to go over a different map as well, so maybe we can finish this fight and
Yeah,
then
I'll finish
switch
the fight.
maps. Because I think we're seeing a lot of the same things, which is important, but there was another comp I wanted to look at macro-wise.
So remember what we said at the very start. We said that we want to play for hack and resource exchange. We want to play for the nano primal engine, and we want to play for pulse, right? Or just outright kill. What have we done correctly, and what have we not? Before I let this fight continue, throughout this whole round, what would you
I
say?
feel like the nano primal cycles like just weren't there.
Okay. What else? What have we done right? What have we done wrong?
As you said, scouting.
Scouting, yeah.
It wasn't 100%. So it was kind of both doing it wrong and right, but I think there were moments where there was really good follow up after we applied pressure, and I think there was also moments where we were failing to apply pressure effectively.
Yeah, and I would say that against their team, they know how to position, and I think they're playing more patiently. And what's happening is you guys are going too fast. That's just my overall assessment. Is like we're not giving ourselves time to think or assess. We're just kind of like playing how we assume things should be played, and that's not how things work. Like, for example, we didn't even take this high ground here when it was free and then drop while waiting for the DPS and supports to set up and taking all this space over here for free with cart. We just kind of leapt in. Or we would maybe take like a DPS duel over here without like follow up and stuff like that. So this has been, I'm noticing that everybody's doing their own thing and they're not playing as a team. And I think that's going to be the biggest impediment for a while, is waiting on one another. I haven't gotten the sensation that, like, yeah, I haven't gotten the feeling that the team has really like developed a good cadence, and that's not a calm thing. Also, that's just like a player to player thing. No one's really looking out to see what their teammates are doing. No one's really giving anybody time to set up. So it's a clusterfuck, to be quite frank. And I think that's why we got picked apart. Yeah. So what map?
Esperanza.
Okay. T3. Any questions about that though? Because that was me being harsh, but
no, it was super
No,
informative.
it's not good.
Harsh is better.
the way
I feel that way.
The way to fix it though is actually pretty simple. That's what's so funny, is you all know how to do this almost on an instinctual level, but at the same time, you guys just aren't waiting for one another's teammates. You're just kind of like doing your thing. You're going in too early. You're doing this, doing that. It's like, it's okay. Give yourself some time to set up. Okay. So without going into a whole macro lesson, what does this comp want to do?
Brawl.
Wants to brawl, sure. What else does it do?
It wants to identify weak targets and
A colossal
hit them as a unit,
Okay.
like target
So-
priority.
Death ball.
What does
Death ball, yeah.
what does Genji do here?
The
Very high
Genji
burst damage.
takes slight off angles, like triangular stuff, to try to poke things down, dash in, dash out if there's an opportunity.
What does Ash want to do?
Ash wants to
try
land
and fiend
thick
land dynamites.
dynamites
Yep.
and not get caught out.
Yep. Lucio. What does Lucio want to do?
Speed engage, heals middle fight.
I think Lucio also plays a big role in helping out his queen in the tank duel.
Displacement
is
is
true.
very big with Lucio. What does Brig want to do?
Stay alive.
Keep Inspire up.
Okay. What does she do in the mirror?
She,
Keep away?
she also helps with the
Whip
whip shot
axes.
against the enemy
GG.
queen.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, when does Queen want to shout? This is
Later
a
in the engagement,
a
right?
trick
Like-
question.
Like
When there's-
I don't really know. I just
Pop
I
two-
either
I
I
don't
either
s-
shout engage, or if they shout early, I just try and like
It-
see how long we can wait out their shout and then shout right before.
Like
Does
to
that make sense?
prolong, like you
Yeah,
engage
so we have
and
them
then
shout longer than they do.
So shout, that was a little bit of a trick question for me. The shout is 100% contextual. Sure, there really isn't a right answer. There are a lot of wrong answers, but there really isn't a right answer. Shout in the mirror. First off, how many of you all watched Jotes whenever it was meta?
I watched. That was honestly my favorite time to watch Overwatch.
the-
Bro,
so
last
the
season.
1 minute
I know that
majority-
when
sounds
no one
weird, but
does. Like
The
2,
majority
3
of
minutes.
the people here, you all have watched Jotes at some point.
I wouldn't say
Yes,
majority.
two.
I think it's 2 people, and then the rest of us have
yeah.
no idea.
Okay, so we're gonna. I'll talk about this for a second. So whenever Jotes was meta, Jotes had all these AOE sustain heroes, right? Now Brig is nerfed slightly because the pack range nerf actually was quite big.
Yeah.
But the more or less the it's functional. Genji takes these off angles and has burst damage, right? And he can be more aggressive with the extra health from shout. But if you'll notice, how many disengage and displacement abilities are there?
there's dash, there's
There's a-
amp,
there's a
there's
lot.
coach gun, there's shield bash, and there's shout. Yeah.
Everyone has displacement and or.
So in the mirror, especially, there's this back and forth. Remember how I said in dive mirror, you have two teams and they're like each punching one another, trying to vie for map control until eventually someone breaks through. Jotes is similar, but we're gonna tweak it slightly. Jotes wants to punch through, sure, but Jotes also has a lot of disengagement and displacement abilities. If somebody runs in, let's say the Genji dashes in, what happens if he gets whip shot? What happens if he gets boot? What happens if he gets coach gunned away?
Probably lives realistically.
Now you'll remember that with this comp they ran Sojourn at the time because Soj was
Soj had the one shot.
Was meta. Yeah, she could get through a good chunk of the extra HP, but she also had great engagement and disengagement.
Because Disruptor is still slowed.
Disruptor slowed.
True,
plus
true,
slide was, I think, on
but
a shorter
I don't think the slow was as important as her ability to just use her legs to get out. Because her legs had a very, very short cooldown.
Survivability.
Still does. Right. So she didn't require as heavy of a pocket as, say, your typical hit scan. Sure, the one shot was there. She was good, but she could also disengage very easily. So you'll notice that between all of these, they can disengage very easily. Correct? They can also engage very easily. What you all are wanting to do is you all are wanting to vie for resources until you can overwhelm, and they can't get away from you. Now, the Cassidy and the Ashe are the big differences. I would argue that the Kiri Lucio version is probably a little bit better right now than the Brig Lucio version.
We were trying both.
Yeah, but that's just my opinion on it. But nevertheless, they have a brawlier comp, in my opinion, than you guys do, even though you have a Brig. So, what I'm going to be looking for is whether or not you guys take angles and contest these angles correctly. I'm also going to be looking to see how you guys use your abilities, specifically how you guys use them to disrupt the enemy's rush while you try to have your own rush. And then finally, I'm going to be seeing what happens whenever you guys actually get down to brawl. Because brawl mirrors are harder than what people think. It's not just two trains running at one another. All right, so you'll see that they shouted first. This is actually a huge mistake. I don't know why they did this.
Because the bot's not active yet. We can disengage and take another fight.
It's not even that. I mean, like, you're just like, they don't have
they're not that close.
They don't have the map control yet to be shouting like this. I mean, in theory, what happens is the Lucio gets everybody out, but Lucio's also... Genji's low, and the Lucio has amp. So why aren't we getting out? That's the question. We're still fighting. You all should watch the watch Hanbin on Joker Queen during the Jotes.
So good.
He's so patient. See, like a good Jotes comp, a good Jotes team will kite back. It's all about this constant kiting back and forth. Can you deny their aggression and then go after them? In this case, you will need to recognize that shout is not the play here. You just kite back this way, and you can use these corners here. I would give this up. This high ground really isn't even all that important in the mirror. Yeah, I would not shout back. This is an uneven exchange. So I'm just going to slow this down. I think we also used amp. Hold on. Yeah, we did. We amp speed and shouted. Okay, so we need to get something out of this, otherwise we lose. Okay. Oh, but we lost our Brig? Okay. Good job recognizing that the Cassidy was killable. She shouts, she's just going to stagger. Good enough. Okay, cool. Key mistake here.
Am I playing a bit too far forward?
Yes, you are.
Just a bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Well, especially because we don't have the supports.
I actually did not realize our supports were this far back.
I think I said something.
I went back.
I think I said I'll push.
Yeah.
I think I agreed to push the bot because then Luke could get a high ground and I could be closest to the supports.
If their team had scouted you quickly, you should have been overwhelmed. Also, I don't know why they're shouting out like during the engagement
shout so
like this.
early, yeah.
This is such a huge mistake. So you want to shout to kite or amp to kite. You want to shout to engage and amp to engage. But when should you do it? You should do it when your team is poked. You have jockeyed for positions. Remember how I said that we're going to be exchanging those displacement cooldowns in the Jotes mirror? That's when you should be doing it. Whether like your team maybe lost the resource engagement, but thankfully with Jotes, you can always just kite back and then fight again. Especially with Junker Queen sustain. This is a big grave error. I don't understand why either team is shouting because neither team really has an advantageous position. And arguably
is one.
They have the worst position. Well, what I'm saying is right before that.
Yeah.
They actually have the worst position out of both teams because they're all concentrated here. I mean, imagine if you just thrown an E here. And do you? That's the question. Because I'm not looking at macro or micro play right now.
I accidentally stuck their Cass. I did.
Nice.
I wanted to throw it behind them.
I would not be backing up against this wall. I would turbo inting him personally because he's very much out of position. All right, good. He should die. He should die. There we go. Meanwhile, notice that our Ashe is like... Ashe was okay. I don't know if he had to drop.
She couldn't kill me.
We're not going to talk about the ult. The ult was very bad. I know this.
I said it as soon as you threw it. Too.
Yeah.
Also,
I actually didn't mean to go that way. I meant to go back towards cart to try and hit the Genji.
I think throwing it at all.
Agent,
yeah.
Did you play a lot of tank in Overwatch 1?
Yes. That was
I can tell.
I played off tank.
The reason why is you're very much locked in on the tank matchup. Like you're even now fighting the tank versus tank, and you're not going after the targets that matter.
That is true, yeah.
I think we had called a Lucio and it didn't go according to plan, and then we all kind of scattered.
So like I guarantee you, if I were to go to your perspective right now, I would see you trying to ult the tank and nothing else. Hold on.
That's
this is Gordo. My bad. This
is
the other guy. Yeah. Okay.
She dies though, right?
Too deep. Even worse is we have this going on, and your team is coming back. Personally, I would calm for the team to back out like this. See, that's the thing with Jotes too, is a lot of it is defined by your kiting ability too, and shout and bleed gets you through a lot. Whether it be you or you not having to demand as much resources from your support, so you can go and help somebody else. Lucio should not be dueling Lucio here. Lucio should be turning this fight into a 2v1. This is a big mistake. One of Lucio's key ability or key principles is being able to be everywhere kind of at once to get value, like through this fight and this fight over here, healing there, displacing there, that kind of thing. This is almost like the support equivalent of being locked in on the tank versus tank matchup. They're just like better things you can do with your time. Yeah. You shouted again, and also,
I'm yeah.
My. What are we gonna do with you? So
probably not die.
I remember feeling.
I mean, the ult kills, but like,
because I thought we were still setting up. I think
it.
that's why I wasn't anywhere to help.
I saw an opening and I didn't call anything. That was
they overcommit a lot. I think this next fight.
So what I'm seeing here is like the team is getting stomped, and I think it's just like general inexperience with Jotes.
We have a tournament next Saturday, so we're
so if you
we
guys
want to make sure we're playing a good.
I would even
feeling good on
like,
it.
Get on ladder and just like 5-man Jotes.
Oh, that actually sounds fun.
Yeah.
The reason why I think that you are really suffering right now is you don't know the comp that well, and the reason and I think it's pretty obvious because experienced Jotes teams will kite back and forth. So let me demonstrate this just for a second. So Jotes teams will orient around one another. So like while one team is going this way, the other Jotes team will be going this way. They're like always trying to catch each other's tails. It's like an Ouroboros of pain. All right. They're just always doing this. And you can watch this during the Jotes meta games. Like there's a great Jotes game with Dallas on Colosio from
Yep,
from the
that's
beta.
the one I know.
Yeah, it's the big one. And you can watch the Brig. The Brig's like
Dude, Fielder was so good.
Fielder was amazing. And the reason why is every single person on that team was doing some variant of this. They were being patient, and they were only using cooldowns when they were commanded to use cooldowns. Here's the trick. You want to shout only when you have to, whether it be a kite or whether it be an engagement or what have you. Maybe you're sustaining a teammate while they're being aggressive.
You don't want to have to
only want to
reactively.
You only want to amp. You only want to amp when you have to. You only want to pack or whip shot or bash away or bash in when you have to. It's a test of patience, is what it is, and everybody is poking and jockeying for position, so they're just constantly doing this. I mean, I have witnessed Jotes teams. Like I remember whenever I still had OPR replay viewer access, I would watch these games, and OWL teams would just be catching one another's tails constantly. That's how they played it. You have the sustain, you have the ability to engage and disengage. You want to go do these one-for-one trades until it's no longer equitable for a team. And that's when you want to crash into it. Whether it be a knife and you're pulling somebody out of position, maybe you're booping somebody into your team. You know, it could be anything. But until then, you guys need to be patient. And what's happening is you guys aren't doing this. Instead, one team is doing this, and even the big scary GM team is just doing the same thing. It just so happens that maybe they have the little better aim, but that's it. There's not a whole lot that's different that's happening between the two teams, and that's what's going to give you an advantage in the tournament. Is you guys need to be willing to be more to do this and be more fluid and patiently just circling around. I mean, it's like you're circling prey. Is really what it's like. And you're just playing for angles, you're playing for displacement, and eventually an advantage. If you'll notice, each team is shouting, each team is amping, each team is just pressing buttons. But they're not really thinking, see, like even this rally here, I mean, what does it do? This is way too early. You're trying to build health, sure, but at least like...
I remember exactly what happened here. I can provide a little bit of context.
You called you were going to touch.
I called that we should try to touch, and then everyone went the other way as me, which was probably my fault for not communicating clearly enough.
Yeah, this should have been scouted. And also, they shout for one Genji. This is insane.
And I think that loses them the fight. Like, I get the touch, and they back away, and Agent gets on. Because I wanted to stop them from getting butt scratch, and we did. I think we took inopportune pathing.
Okay, but they shouted on a Genji. Well.
And I planned on blading that fight, but they throw.
I would bob here.
We do, I think.
Okay. We don't really have anything else. I would just...
Oh.
Okay. Let's go.
Huge coach. He wins the 1v1.
Oh my gosh, Luke,
He's
let's
different.
go!
Yeah,
How
wow,
did we end up with two brothers who are gods at hit scan? I'm not kidding, our hit scan players are brothers. It's crazy.
Another thing too is our DPS, both of you, we're going in so early. Ash is very tricky to run the Jotes.
You tried Cass and Reaper. We could try just Reaper more consistently.
I think we can go back to the Reaper and institute a carry instead of a Brig. I think that's how we're gonna want to play it.
The Brig's fine now since they're more dive heavy, but yeah, you see how we're just using things. Like we didn't even have to beat here.
I think we're comboing beat with Blade, if I remember correctly.
I still think that's bad. in the Jotes mirror, especially, you get so much more value by kiting back.
Yeah, I think that is something that we could definitely like
I
next
oh I
turn.
I
That's the
Also,
main
also,
thing
I'm,
we will
100%
I'm
cover
gonna
is
I'm gonna give
kiting.
you all another little tidbit too. So the best teams that play push are those that actually understand what parts of the map are worth fighting in. So like in Colosio, for example, you have the main area where there's the point right here, and it's like this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With like a little open areas throughout. And then you have this, and then there's the bridge over here, correct?
Yeah.
Good teams will leave the bot, maybe pushed up right here, and will fight right here, like versus a dive comp, for example, where it's a little harder to dive them.
Oh, it's like in a room, right?
Uh-huh.
I remember.
You see where I'm going with this? That'd be like a more advantageous spot for like someone, a team that's not dive to fight the dive comp in. In this case with the Jotes mirror, this is bad, even though you have this high ground here, but you guys haven't actually pushed out to the to use this high ground, correct? This isn't like a Winston comp where you're just gonna drop and bubble and leap
I'm
out.
doing some interesting things.
So what I would recommend doing is understanding where you're kiting to. So like you guys could easily just kite back here and completely dodge all of this. And then congratulations, you now have beat. They've likely used shout as well. I think they did, by the looks of things. So like just kite. And that's what I mean with like where Jotes is almost a as much a test of your ability to just run away and decide what fights are worth it than it is anything else. See, like I don't even think the blade was necessary nor the beat.
Metal gets full collapse stone, unfortunately.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and then see where you see how like the teams just kind of like weren't sure where to go. Both teams actually, it just so happened that the other team saw a target and then entered on them, right? That's kind of just what happened. Imagine if we just sped out and we were right here. We didn't have to fight in the rush, and then we just blade with shout and win because they have nothing for it. That's why I think it would be that would have been the more economical but also a better play. All right, they shout. Silly. What are these ults? Dang.
I probably should have backed up in hindsight.
You should have. Better teams you play up against them, or they'll recognize that you're out of round like that. All right, they have Suzu, so you didn't even wait for Suzu.
The thought process was they're all split because their Lucio and Genji will take. They either have to burn a resource to help with the fight, or
I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not willing to trade an ult for a Suzu. I don't know about you, especially when you're this low and you're essentially relying on your ult to sustain you.
True.
This
we swapped Reaper here.
Yeah, like you're not. This is a completely fresh fight. You guys haven't jockeyed for positions or anything. Look at where your follow up is. You actually just isolate yourself here and you die. Do you die though? They split. What?
Actually during this fight we didn't call a target. I remember.
I also think that you just went in too early. Like you're low. They're at full HP. They have every cooldown in the world.
Even if it's a 3v5, you think?
I mean, you went in too early specifically.
Oh.
Like you're not gonna get through this. Tanks can do many things, but you're not gonna get through that. See? Even better is your team should have recognized this and kept this walled off while the rest of you are collapsing on these. Even if you had went in like that. good Lucio duel. Our Reaper though is under a lot of pressure. So if I'm the tank player and I'm having like all the time in the world to read this fight, I need to make this an uneven fight somewhere. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think this tank is the play anymore. And I think you're checking the tank a little too heavily. I think you need to go on this. So let's see what you do.
Oh.
Yeah, they just go right past you. So that's what I mean is like they came in and caused a split on your team, which was all grouped right here. You're over here, so your team is willing to like rush in here. And so, believe it or not, Agent, I think you kind of split your own team. Likewise, I think that the team wasn't ready to go in, but we could have done better simply by like looking at the target prio, keeping our Junker Queen sustained, sure, but also looking at this behind us and getting a free kill, or at least forcing them to disengage, making space for our tank.
Okay, yeah.
And I also think that it was just a this whole area in general is just kind of tricky. All right, so they get fast spawn, nerfed fast spawn, by the way. The extra 2 seconds. Okay, so look at how our team is positioned.
I'm wondering, Angel, should you not play as Deathball-y? Should you try and play more split? But like still in range of shout and rally or not rally, inspire and all that stuff.
Every Jotes, every comp wants angles.
Cap.
Every comp wants angles. What happens as a result of us playing like this? Sure, you're within inspire range, you're within song range, shout, so on. But what happens? What are we giving up?
You can get funneled. Damage can be funneled very easily.
There's really nothing interesting going on here. There are no off angles. There's no map control, right? They can just shoot you. You're a pincushion. This area is very difficult to fight in because it's all open space. And even better is they shouted and they beat. They're low. This is where again I think the classic challenge of Jodes comes into play. You guys need to recognize that the call is actually to speed out and shout out. You do not need to go in. Give up the space. Yeah, let's see how they just go harder. Especially since we were just playing one angle. They just had more. So the call to kite is going to be so important moving forward. Especially as you all getting more experience. Okay, so let's see how you.
Also, real quick, does speed boost and shout stack?
Yes.
Okay.
Very seldom do you want to stack them though, because it's very all in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so remember what I said before, how you have these two comps that are almost like spiraling one another, playing for angles? We have no one clearing this out. We have no one taking angle here. We have no one doing anything. We're all a death ball. And we're about to turn the corner. They have the advantage right now. Even though they shouted first, they have the advantage. Okay. See how we just like burned all of our cooldowns? We have nothing for this. They burned 3 ults. We're about to have 4 ults. But we've also nearly lost the map. So let's see. So that's what I mean when I say like we're not taking angles with this, and we're not really recognizing when to give up space, when to displace. We're just kind of like always looking at the front of their team versus trying to catch their tail, which is what Jodes wants to do. Jodes wants to it's like a dog catching its own tail, except in this case you're biting the tail off as soon as you like actually do catch it. Twisted metaphor, I know, but like that's really how it happens. So you have these two comps, they're circling one another, and then eventually one comp breaks parity and is able to just go. If one comp is doing this, and then the other comp is just playing like this, then ideally this green comp here should recognize this and just be able to get out. Then they have the resource advantage. Yeah, we went first. We beat Blade again. Okay. So they have fast spawn. Really curious to see if we rampage without pressure and Kiri again. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a good lesson here. So we should have heard this or scouted it, I would think. We also have this on the bot. Our team is like pulled in two different directions.
I think I'm currently looking at the Genji.
Yeah, we are. This Genji is not important. Even worse is our Genji went in. Our Genji is 1v4. What is happening?
We trade Genjis. That's the summary of this fight. We trade Genjis. I don't actually remember.
They booped your Genji back into his team. This Lucio saved it.
Terrible.
Thank you, Lucio.
But yeah, see, like at the same time, we're not catching their tail. We have no one like pressuring like around. We're all one angle. Okay, there's their shout. There's their beat. Per what I've said before, what should we be doing?
Hiding.
Hiding. What are we doing?
Engaging.
We are engaging. This whole team has a death wish.
Also, I went in when everyone else kited.
Oh god, and our Kiri believed. Another thing too is just a little bit on the Kiri play for a second. If your team isn't catching the tail, so to speak, even as Kiri, you can still do that. I'm noticing that both Kiris, this Kiri's doing it a little bit, but like you can still take those wide angles. You're kind of like always in a panic though, trying to like bail somebody out. I've noticed. So I think we need to give more time for our team to take angles, and that's going to be across every comp ever that we play. That was the problem with Dorado. That's the problem with this one, is we're not even giving our teammates time to like actually position. We're just all trying to go always. And it's really screwing us up. Notice how they're never really like pushing past their team. I mean, it's happened a few times. It will. But notice how their team isn't like you don't have one member that's just like significantly out most of the time. The reason why is they understand where the line of engagement is. Like if they were to push past this line, this is too far, or this is too far. But right here, their team can help them. That's also what's allowing their team time to take angles. They're fighting within these safer spaces and poking and pressuring without overextending. Our team is always kind of like pressing W, and we're not giving our teammates time to set up. So I would give homework to each and every single member of this team and say, you guys just need to look behind you and have an idea as to where your team is. Because we're like always just W key. And normally that's how people get up to Diamond and even Masters. They just W key without really understanding why. It's only as you like start climbing through Masters do you start thinking about the when and the why. I mean, how? Let's like be honest with me. How often do you see that advice on Overwatch University? W key with your tank or something. You know, get to Diamond easy.
I haven't looked. I don't know.
It was rhetorical, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it like all the time. So you see, they caught our tail. We didn't really rotate around them, but they caught our tail here with this.
And metal clutches up.
That was good. Ugh, that's real good. You won it. You won it for you won a 2-ult fight with 1 ult. Alright, so we shouted.
Is that there, Suzu?
Ooh. Why are we beating?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I was about to say beat Blade, but we don't have Blade. It might have been.
think-
It might have been Panic thing.
I don't know.
I don't know how though, because like we were all healthy. I think.
Wait, what happened?
Maybe it's just. Maybe it's to save Rye. That's my only guess.
I don't know.
How did Rye get caught out?
Did he?
Did you TP
I'll
to
just see
someone,
it again.
or did you just get soloed out? Oh, the Tracer might have called you out.
Why teleports to you and then you beat him to try and save him?
Rye, did you not have TP?
So he TPs and then gets. I think he gets fucked. Maybe he does.
Oh. No, he still had TP. He had TP and Bow.
Oh,
That's just unfortunate then.
or got caught lacking. Quite simply.
I think he tried to bell the side of the wall there. It wasn't to save Rye.
To compensate for Rye, I guess.
That might have been the thought process. I don't know.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, what the blade? I mean, both supports are dead. And the Queen and Genji are both one.
Yeah, but you both use ult.
I mean,
We did.
true.
I don't
was-
remember
it was-
this enough. Let me look at it.
Oh my
it
god, you
was-
had 1,300 HP for a second though.
Bro, that's just normal things.
Yeah, you probably still won that even without Blade.
Can we look at my perspective? I want to see why I did it.
Yeah, because of the Lucio.
You may have also just done it because I feel like this happens even with me. It's just
He wanted the play of the game.
yeah, you want the clip.
No, I think it was the dash reset, but it really wasn't worth committing a blade for the dash
Yeah.
reset.
Also, this was survivable if you just went back to your team.
I think
So-
I commit a bad dash on the Lucio because I get the reset.
Aren't we
So,
and
like,
Lucio's
down?
anti-age.
We're
I
still
understand
down
going
good,
here, but watch this.
Yep, I should. Yeah,
Imagine if you had just dashed here.
Honestly, I think you might just killed him with melee.
I killed
know, you
Queen
do
with that
forever.
dash, for sure.
But he has
Actually,
amp.
yes.
Say like amp is what's keeping you alive. So that's why I think like if you just dash to your team, you win cleanly.
And I
But
do
yeah,
think afterwards we
because-
overcommitted that.
Yeah, but like just because of the nature of push, yeah, you guys aren't winning the next fight. You guys aren't making it to 124.97.
Yeah.
Kitsune in a dream.
Hypothetically, it's Rush versus Kitsune, but
Kitsune and
I'd say that's more in the Tracer's favor than our team's.
All right, so let's slow this down. Hold on. This is a very good example of what I was talking about. So where is our tail for Jotes?
I'm
Remember how I
guessing,
said it looks like a dog chasing its tail? It's always like this.
Yeah.
Would it be me?
What do you think?
Reaper carry, like around.
You
there.
think this is
I
the
don't
tail?
think I don't
I
think
mean, I don't
that's
see how they could
really
reach it, but, like,
punishable.
Isn't the tail
That's
like
my
the
thought
most
process.
vulnerable? Is that the idea?
I'm super collapsible. That's my thought process right now. I don't think those 4 can get hit hard enough unless all 5 of them are there,
I mean, they have like.
and
nine,
they are split.
I don't see them landing.
Well, plus they have to rotate through left as well, unless Tracer goes right.
Oh, so you're giving up a lot of space here because the front of the fight's now right here.
Yeah.
It's going to be ultimately around this corner. This is when they're going to go.
Yeah.
Because they'll have natural cover there.
They also lost a fight there last time.
So our team needs to be posturing around this, not around this. Yeah, I don't like the dash either because he can dash back or dash out.
Why did they shout?
I don't know.
They
I don't know why
always
they
shout
shouted.
to start. I don't know.
So, where's our tail?
Right now, it's is it adds Akiri, I would assume. Either Akiri or Lucio.
This is a little different because we have a Lucio out here, but I just want you to ignore. Where's our tail of our core?
Akiri. Which, to be fair, Rai did call out he felt like he was getting singled out a lot.
Alright, where's our tail now?
Currently,
you can say Kiri, but I want you to ignore this for a second and this. Just
Genji.
this core right here. Genji's now the tail. So this you're seeing the power of Jotes, even though they're not executing it nearly as well at all. What's happening is they have created a tail that can be isolated, even though they're rushing and they're not diving. You see what's happening? They're just hitting the body. You guys aren't ready to kite. You guys aren't. No offense, but you guys just aren't experienced running the comp. And as a result, because you guys aren't kiting, you're not rotating effectively. This comp is all rotation. That's all it is. Rotation and trying to rotate more effectively than the other team. This has created a tail. This is almost a tail in and of itself of like this body. So if we watch this, we're in a real bad spot. You see how they like hit our body? The only reason why their Genji died is because their supports weren't ready. Their tank and their DPS went in too early. I would also recognize when you've done enough. You've forced Suzu, you've done all this. Do you have dash, or did you use it? Yeah, you don't have it.
You might be dead here then.
Yeah, well, he has deflects.
I have
and
deflect.
you have rush, so you get out.
I would definitely deflect
back
and try
up,
to kite back. Yeah, but I'm saying like you've done more than enough. This is already way too deep. If we look over here, we have a rampage. That's also scary. Shouldn't kill. Maybe.
I guess I don't go where I thought I went.
I think you were contesting point.
It's OT.
You needed someone needed to be on point. I think it was you.
Yeah, so our team left it exposed then. Okay, so where's our tail now?
Our Lucio? Or Genji? Either or, yeah.
They're focused on these guys because they're purple, but what they should recognize is that they're not. I said maybe killing the Reaper. This isn't important. If they get rid of these two, they win. Ooh. I play to live here. Okay, Reaper's dead. So you see what's happening now. So she's gonna walk in and just catch us, and that's it. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up something real quick. Time we have remaining. Give me 1 second. Oh, those are the finals. 1 second, please. Please hold.
Are you looking for the Coliseum one?
Yeah. You know what? This is good enough. This is an excellent map.
Alright, so
This is Hanbin's perspective, but like,
oh, that 3D portrait is rough.
all right. So I want you to see what he's doing. So this is defense, right? He's gonna let them push in. But I want you to notice where his team is. We have Fielder on Brig, we have Edison, Soj. And what's gonna happen is each of these teams are gonna orient themselves around one another. Echo's just poking the high ground. Hanbin is very patient, as you see. Look at that. Do you see that?
He tried to rotate faster and he caught them, like the last people in the rotation.
Watch this. They go under. They didn't even worry about clearing out high ground. Junker Queen, Brig. Edison is low, but Edison used that amazing slide ability to get out, right? That's what I was talking about. Jotes has all those cooldowns to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you look at it, just like this, what did Hanbin do? Hanbin cut the rotation. He grabbed the tail, exactly. I also have heard people comparing Jotes meta to catching a grease pig, but I prefer the tail metaphor a little bit better. So you see what happened, right? They backed out behind this natural cover over here. Brig went in, recognized that Hanbin was low. They're actually going to be down one now. They're Lucio, in fact. Very important pick. So Hanbin can't get out as effectively as he would like, correct? And he dies. Speed this up. They lose. And just because we're almost coming up on time and I'm an old man that needs to sleep, let's look at this on attack. So even though this is an older version of the game, you can still see that like the Jotes concept still remains.
Do you think there's any significant changes between a Brig version and the Kiriko version? In terms of like game plan?
No, outside of Whip Shot being so big and Bash. Inspire, the pack range nerf was pretty substantial actually, but the Kiri version allows the DPS that would have taken the Soj slot to be a little bit more flexible. Outside of that, that DPS slot's kind of up for grabs. Okay, so they're just healing up. You see excellent case here. So they shouted to make the rotation. They didn't amp. They also shouted to help the dashing Genji, Doha, who went up here to contest. But you notice what Hanbin is actually doing while Doha's doing all that?
He's looking around.
He's looking around. But also the Jotes comp as a whole is rotating and trying to catch the tail. This is the tail. You see, they made a mistake. They dropped. And look at that. Suddenly the Junker Queen was the tail. Not the head, but the tail. So this is just cleanup. Let's watch another fight. All right. So they're going to position here. They're just shouting to take high ground. So why are they positioning up here first off?
High ground is king. Plus it makes it way more annoying because the only two places... Well, I mean, yeah, payload prayers. There's only two very small quarters. Oh, it's only payload progress? That's the only thought process?
No, but look at where their team is. Their Genji's there on cart. They understand that to go any further, they're going to be fighting a 4v5, right? They're going to have to kite back so that they can fight a 5v5. Sure, that's important. But so they understand that their teammate can only help them whenever they fight here. Secondly, This high ground, you're right. This high ground is scary. It needs to be cleared off. They're taking a good position. But here's the crucial thing. Watch this. There's the rotation over here. Here's this.
What is Astro doing? What?
Astro's scouting. Astro's fine.
Oh.
Where is the tail? This is going to be a very tricky question. We see On's over here. We know Funny Astro is somewhere off camera or behind this wall. We see these people. Where is the tail?
It's got to be the 2, right?
It's the Joker Queen.
Oh, no, that's 3.
No, but I'm saying JK.
You're now realizing why the Glads didn't do too well in this meta. Glads almost always play to take these split angles almost to a fault. But do you see what's happening every time they play like this?
Is either or a tail? Is that what you're insinuating?
Yes, they are both tails that can be caught. Look at that. You see that bash?
Explode.
So you saw what happened there, right? They actually caught both tails by splitting them up. It was almost like a Winston dropping a big bubble between the two halves of the Glads. They caught both tails at the same time. Oops. All right, we'll do one more fight.
One more fight.
So that's what I mean when I say like the Glads aren't even playing this that well, but the same principle applies. I'm being kind of overextended there, unfortunately. Or do they just win? Because they don't have a tank?
That sounds like something that would happen. Yeah, just give it up.
Yep.
Or Lucio dies. Yeah.
That was a good night.
All right. So I take the high ground.
I missed that forward knife. I missed that so much.
All right. So we have all 5 people on screen. Where is the tail?
I would assume it's On's, but would you not just like drop off?
Yeah. I'm just saying it's always good to identify. So we could say that this is the tail.
Ah, yes. Mess of color is my favorite.
So another thing in Jote's meta, this is something that I didn't quite address, but I want to address now. With Jote's mirrors especially, they're wanting to trade almost an ult for an ult every time. If you rampage, they beat. If you...
So beat Blade is not a good idea, is what you're saying.
Right. So by comboing ults like that in Jote's mirrors, you're actually compromising your ability to react to one of their ults. So in the same way that you check their aggression with like an ability, whether it be whip shot, shout, coach gun, what have you. Remember what I said? Everybody's kind of like engaging and then pushing the other person back whenever they try to do something. It's the same concept for the ults. Now, this is a little different because we live in a world with Kiriko now versus whenever this was being played. So Suzu exists. But even still, Suzu isn't going to bail you out of everything. Beat Blade. So imagine if they had beat Blade here. They can't react then to this. They can't react to this. They can't even react to this if they beat Blade. So Jotes wants to constantly be jockeying for those positions, catch the tail, and then force an ult exchange in your favor. So that's why Hanbin actually did a lot of work by forcing forcing beat, forcing a bunch of cooldowns before the fight started with that rampage, and it sustained him through it, even though he was pretty low, and didn't actually get a kill. He was doing his job. So you see what happened. The Junker Queen, the Brig aggressed. Hanbin checked it with an E, and now they're shouting to get out. And just kind of poking. Yep. Can't get them out. Go again.
He should die here, I would assume. Yeah.
Alright, where's the tail? We saw the tank over here. There's Reiner. We saw the supports over here. We don't know where the DPS are. Actually, I do know where the DPS are. They're Genji's over here.
Wait, can you go back a few seconds? Is their
Uh-huh.
queen behind the mail? The chain mail, whatever it's called?
Nope.
Or is the queen on the left side of this choke?
Is Genji on top there?
She's on the left side of that choke right there?
Yep.
Okay. I mean,
Are we JK?
if they're going this way, then the queen is.
Yeah,
here.
but see, they recognize that pushing through that corner against the Junker Queen would have been hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so notice they rallied. The Glads rallied. This team used beat. This is actually really bad too. They're having to burn all this stuff to just get out of spawn. Kester should not have bladed here though. Okay. So now what has happened? They did not have this. This is the tail. They're trying to get out, but they can't. They have caught the tail. All right, Reiner's back. They're just kiting back. Notice how Hanbin is just immediately kiting back as soon as he recognizes that this isn't going to go in his favor. Jotes requires the whole team to be on that same on the same page when it comes to moving back and forth like that. Now it's just cleanup. He kited back. So what happened was he kited around the corner. The Glads pushed in, and then he just went right through them. They also won the resource exchange because look at their ults. Look, they didn't have beat yet. They didn't have Bob yet. They didn't have anything. Kevster almost threw this entire defense that bladed is. So the whole idea is that you're constantly understanding how to read the fight. You understand whether or not you need to be going in, you need to be going out, and then trying to jockey for position in the meantime. The homework I would give you all is not only for Jotes comp, but for team play in general. I would try to give your team more time to stage, make sure everybody's on the same page and set up to go, and not just rush into things, into an engagement. The other thing I would say is that for Jotes, if you guys are wanting to play that, and I would say that the comp is almost so strong right now, it's a throw to play anything else. That's just unfortunately how Blizzard balancing is. I would really practice just kiting back without having to use beat, for example, or even shout and just relying on amp. Really get used to being in sync with your team that has those engage disengage abilities. Is there anything else you? Anything?
So you wanna you should shout in, be ready to amp speed out.
You should only. I mean, you shouldn't shout in unless it's gonna be worth your time.
That's what I mean. Or did you just save both of them as
sometimes you shout out is the thing. So what I would recommend doing is saving it until you need it, and not a moment sooner. I know that's like incredibly vague, but that's really how flexible shout is, because shout can almost enable, like as you saw there, can enable just like an aggressive Genji dash to make space, and use Genji as your off tank, almost like bubbling Reaper as a Zarya.
That's cool.
So if you keep that in mind, that's how I think shout is ultimately going to remain the same even throughout like the two differences since that comp was hard meta.
Also, I just learned something. Stepro on the other team is going to be my teammate next year.
Really?
That's funny.
No cap. The captain of Anna Maria just reached out to me. He's like, "Did you scrim some maps on support last night?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You played against one of our players." I'm like, that's crazy.
Wait, what?
That's funny.
Yeah,
No way.
wild.
Small world.
Oh god.
It happens.
Well, thank you, Zephyr, again.
Yeah, I
Of
have about
course.
Sitting through
3
2 hours
minutes.
of us.
Do we have any other questions?
Honestly, no.
Not
You
in
know what's
particular.
wild? I don't think I've been in a single VOD review he's done.
Yeah, this was my first time.
This is the second one, isn't
But
it? Or the third.
either way, we should
Zephyr-
probably let Zephyr go since
Yeah.
Zeph,
It
thank you
was over
so
his
much for
time.
the time.
Yeah,
I
we
think
appreciate you, Zeph.
I think we took a lot of takeaway from that, and we're gonna learn from that for sure. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
thanks a lot for tonight. You're
Yeah,
free.
you all have a good one.
Yeah.
Have a good night, man.
Have a good night.
You too.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
Man, I fucking love that guy. Okay, I'm gonna hop in the buffet.
Yes.
I'll talk to you guys over there.
Alan,
Yeah.
you busy tomorrow?
In the morning, but after that I'm free.
Do you want to go to the beach
Bah. What time?
later?
Later. I'd probably be back around like 4. I want to say
4 in the afternoon?
probably because I gotta go down to Rowan and then I gotta make the drive back.
But why are you heading down to Rowan?
I have to move all my stuff out, and then it's not a lot, but I'm just gonna
Aw.
go do that today. Oh shit.
Logical.